information just by putting the deal number over here. In order to start a deal on this side of things, all you have to do is pick which state you guys are actually titling into here. So if I say, New Jersey, for example, I can come in here and as you guys are a single dealership, I have everybody in here. But your dealership will drop right down here in the menu. And then you'll come down here and enter in your deal number that you're getting from your DMS. Once you click load deal, that's going to pull everything from the IDMS system over to this system so that you guys aren't having to go in there and do double entry on anything. Obviously, my system's not actually hooked up with that, but I can come in here and let me load in a VIN number that I previously used. Obviously, if you're starting something from scratch, we would just load this VIN here. It'll come in here and populate the vehicle type. All you have to come down here and do is select the purchase type. So we're doing a cash, finance, or lease deal. I'm going to show you a finance deal today because the difference with that is just going to have the lien holder information in there. This system itself does not do plate transfers. However, I would select if you're doing a plate transfer or not, because that is going to affect the fee calculation. Now at this point, we can come in here and we can select if we're doing a full deal, which will be the fee calculation, as well as printing the populated DMV forms. If you only want to come and see the fee calculation, you can do it here. It'll ask you for a little bit less information. Obviously, for the sake of the demo today, I'm going to show you the full deal. But for your sales or finance people, you might actually come in here and just do the fee calculation so you can give the numbers to your customers. And then the people in the office are going to be running the full deal here. So you can come in and grab all the DMV forms as well. I'll go ahead and select full deal, like I said. And right before that lets us go any further, this will populate any state-specific notices. That way, hey, you're aware of them, everybody's aware of them before we continue on, so it's not a surprise for us at the end. We'll also have a few of the state-specific notices here along the way, but make sure that you guys have everything that you need to get this deal done as smooth as possible. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, fantastic. I'll go ahead and click continue here. And then this should load up for me. I've previously ran this deal before. So as you can see for this VIN number, this deal already exists. When you come in here, and there's a transactional charge with the system, which I can get into a little bit later once it makes a little bit more sense. But per deal ID, you're only charged once per deal ID in the system. And that would be like if you mentioned, hey, we're adding warranties or we have different add-ons that we're going to go in there and put, which is going to affect the fee calculation or the DMV forms. You're only going to be charged that one time if customer changes their mind on something and you need to go in there and recalculate the fees. Once you're working that deal ID number, you're not going to be charged multiple times for that same deal. But I'll go ahead and click if we're creating a new deal or if we want to load the deal in here, we can select that. I'll go ahead and load the deal. This is kind of going to mimic if you guys pulled some information over from the IDMS system, and it pre-populates some of the forms for you here.
So there is a fee just to get a quote, even if we don't contract the deal?
Yeah, correct. And that's broken down, and how it's broken down is the transactional side of things is $100 per transaction. That's broken down into $35 for the fee calculation and then $65 to populate and print the DMV forms in here. Now, what I will say is majority of the times, almost all of my dealers aren't actually incurring any cost for the software itself, because you can obviously go back in there and charge the transaction back to the customer. And that transaction fee, the NAT processing fee is actually what we call it. It's a customizable field for your dealership. So majority of the times is, hey, we'll bump it up a little extra depending on how many out-of-state deals you guys are actually doing per month. That way we can cover the cost of the actual subscription itself, which is $135 per month. But if you're doing obviously more than one or two a month, almost all the time my dealers are making profit on it by just charging the customer, hey, 150 for our NAT processing fee, or somewhere between 150 and 200, depending on how it is that you guys want to run. But
okay.
I will put a pin in that because we'll jump down to that right over here in the purchase information page. So I will come back to that, but that's a great question.
So if we got a quote for a customer but didn't contract him, it's 35.
Correct. And a lot of the times what we would do, And what some of my dealers do without going into the actual fee calculation itself is, hey, getting some pretty top line numbers for the tax rate in that state, and then giving them a quote that way without actually giving them the, hey, this is the actual down to the pennies number. And then when you're actually contacting the deal, or this is pretty late in the sales stage where we're having to get the actual fee calculation for them, that's where we would come in here and draw up the specific fees. A lot of times we can save them a couple bucks here and there, and that might be a good closing tool for us.
Okay.
Great question. But this will be what the system looks like. Pretty straightforward on this side of things. And what I'll bring your attention to, so there's a couple of boxes in here that are labeled in red. This is what's going to be required for your team to get the fee calculation in this system. I would recommend that, hey, whenever you're filling this out, go ahead and fill it out as well as you can for all of the information in here, because it's on the back end. It's going to populate all of this into the DMV forms. But just the boxes in red are what it's required to get the fee calculation for this state. If we need to add a co-owner on this owner page, we can add a co-owner here as well. But we'll go ahead and select the addresses that they have, and then real easy in the system, just click over here on the left-hand side to toggle through the different fields, or you can come in here and click
But once
next.
we put the deal number in, all that info that you just showed us should pretty well be carried over, right?
Yep, correct. Pretty much everything that I came in here and I put in that's already filled out, you could see is going to be what pulls over from the DMS system if you have it input in there. And then even if you're doing it from scratch, hey, a lot of times on the vehicle information, as long as we load the VIN, majority of the stuff in here should fill out depending on, on the VIN number here. But majority of the stuff like shipping weight, gross vehicle weight, things like that will come in here and pull it. But if you have it in the DMS system, this will integrate right over, and that stuff is all going to pull over from the IDMS. Majority of the times you'll just come in here and select the vehicle status, whether it's new or used, and all of the other information will fill out. So very self-explanatory. The next page here is going to be your trade-ins. We allow you to put up to 4 trade-ins in here. Hopefully you never even have 4. In the rare case that you do have somebody with more than 4 trade-ins, you can give us a call and we can put up to 8 in here for you. But like I said, hope that never happens to you.
Yeah, then 2's about the max.
Yeah, right. We had a dealer that had 6 and he just called and it was such a big headache, but we can put in more in here for you if you ever have that. But like I said, hope you never do. The next stage that I'll sit on a little bit, this is going to be the purchase info. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time here. I know we talked about the NAT processing fee a little bit. But on this page, what I would recommend is that you do not guess or estimate any of the charges that you input into these fields, because that'll go ahead and affect the fee calculation. This page works like a calculator. So if you have anything that you're not charging for, like undercoding, freight charges, things like that, go ahead and put a 0 instead of leaving it blank, because it does work like a calculator. If everything is correct on this page and filled out correctly, and for whatever reason the fees are incorrect, now 99% of the time we're right on the money, but if there is a reason that everything is filled out on this page and it's incorrect, we do guarantee our fees as Title Tech will be correct for you guys. So if the state rejects that check for some reason and it was an error on our part, we will reimburse your dealership. So cut you guys a check for the difference there. So go ahead, and if you guys were working this deal, obviously put 0s or whatever number it is that we need to in here. The only thing that I'm going to point your attention to on this page is going to be the NAT processing fee, like I told you earlier. So like I mentioned, $100 per transaction, and then it's $135 per month. Most of my dealers are coming in here putting 150 or anywhere from 150 to 200, and this is completely customizable for you. Depending on how many out-of-state deals you guys are going to be running, majority of the time, hey, first one, second one covers the subscription cost. Everything after that is additional profit for the dealership. Now, if you guys wanted to eat the cost, and I have dealers just come in here and put $100 and charge that back to the customer, if that's a preference that you guys have, this is, like I said, completely customizable for you. So any questions on this page so far?
Nope.
Okay, fantastic. I'll go ahead and put 200 here. And just so you know, we can also hard code this in the system where if you don't want anybody to be able to change it, or hey, we miss it a couple of times and we don't want to miss that because we're eating the money on that, we can hard code this to automatically pull up as 200. And the only person who could change it is the person with admin access on the account. So something we can definitely hard code in the system. We just have to talk to the behind the scenes, but we can make that happen pretty easily for you. Um, I'll go ahead and move over to the lien holder. So if there is a lien holder in here, we can come in and enter them. Just want to remind you, FEIN and the lien holder code do vary state to state depending on the lien holder. So I would just verify that's correct. If we need to add an additional lien holder in the system, we can go ahead and do that here as well.
Does that
but
have is that going to pull the lien holder from IDMS if we've
yes, sir.
contracted?
Yep, correct. And the next stage over will be our registration information. And this is obviously, and all this information is going to vary state by state, especially the purchase info. Forgot to mention this, but in the purchase info, fields like this, where obviously New Jersey has 12 fields for us to go in here and fill out. I know if you're, titling into Kentucky, for example, I think they have 2 or 3. So depending on which state you're titling into, these are automatically going to pull over, so you guys don't have to be responsible for any of those state-specific, taxable items. Everything's going to pull over specifically for you. Registration info, we can come in here. It'll ask for the county, which already filled out for us based on the address. Ask for any insurance information as well. And then this section for the DMV contact. Do you guys ever use private tag agencies, or have you used private tag agencies in the past?
I'm not sure what that means.
Okay, so private tag agencies are essentially organizations that come in here and they have the ability to go in there and actually title and register your vehicles within the state quite a bit faster than the DMV. So I would say, for example, had a customer that said, hey, titling and registering this vehicle, I know the DMV that we're going to be working with takes about a month to process all the paperwork, but he wants to get it all done before he goes on vacation in about 2 weeks. So we use private tag agencies, and we have private tag agencies that we are not contracted with, but have associations with in all 50 states. Essentially, for a fee, they can go in there and title and register the customer's vehicle quite a bit quicker than the DMV can go in and process, obviously for a fee. But we always pull up, hey, if they want to go ahead and have all that information done quite a bit quicker, we could choose private tag agencies in that state, let the customer know the fee as well, if they're willing to pay the $65 or the $239 to get that vehicle information done all the bit faster. That's something that we do offer in our system here. However, if we come in here and choose just using the local DMV, we could do that as well, and that'll populate the customer's DMV here. If there's multiple DMVs close to their house, or if you want to enter a different DMV, we can come in here and do that as well. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, fantastic. So the next button that we'll hit here is going to be this blue button that says calculate fees. So this is where, hey, by selecting this blue button is where you would initially be charged the $35 to pull the fee calculation. But this is going to come with a full breakdown. So once this loads up for us, we'll have a line by line breakdown of the fee calculation here for the state of New Jersey.
Is the system going to know their county off the address, or do we have to ask that to the customer?
So majority of the time, when I've been working with the system, like 95% of the time, it automatically puts the county in there. I think there's a couple of cities, obviously, I think that are maybe borderline, where the county doesn't fill out. And I'm not sure whether that's just an error in the system or if it's has something to do with the actual city location. But 90% of the time, 95% of the time when I'm filling this out, the county automatically fills out there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But here, this will be the fee calculation page for us. Big things I'll draw to your attention right off the bat are the total taxable amount for New Jersey here, and then the total amount to collect for the customer or from the customer. And obviously, everything in between is going to be a breakdown of, hey, this is what the titling and registration fees are going to be for New Jersey. These are going to be our additional fees. So our NET processing fee, and if your customer decides to use a private tag agency, that fee will be here as well. Here's going to be our New Jersey motor vehicle taxes, so our state sales tax and the surcharge that New Jersey has specifically. Um, I will put your attention to the reciprocity tax here. So in our demo partitions, or in our demo, our partition state is Florida, so that's where we're hypothetically located, and Florida has a reciprocity tax. That's why it's showing here. However, if you guys don't have a reciprocity tax in your state, it obviously will not apply. But since I theoretically live in Florida, I wish, this is why it's showing a reciprocity tax for us today. But we'll go ahead
I have
and
a
under the,
question on that.
sure, go ahead.
We're running into some issues with the current system right now on knowing exactly what is taxed, since some states tax back end, some don't, some tax dock fees, some don't.
Mhm.
Um, can we see on this form, is it going to have the, like where it has the 6% in parentheses after it, if it's taxed, or
Yeah,
how do we
so
determine what's taxed and what's not?
what's going to be taxed, and this all automatically pulls up for you guys in the actual system. It's going to be everything that runs under the, all right, is going to be everything that runs under the purchase information page. And that all automatically pulls up in the system based on what is required in that state. Not sure why it's not letting me go back here. But everything that I showed you under the purchase information page, that was going to be a taxable item. Uh, that all varies state to state depending on where you're titling into. So you won't ever have to go in and look it up. It will be all the information that was on that purchase information page.
I get
Let's see.
that, but I'm just trying to determine, because we have to get all these numbers to match up in IDMS, because I don't think your system's going to push these numbers back to IDMS, right?
Yeah, correct. This does not pull back over to IDMS, unfortunately, but everything that's going to be under the purchase information page, as far as I can tell you in this system, all of this information is going to pull under this screen once this loads up for us. And this is already tied into, what the state DMVs require, or what's required from that actual state that you're titling into. So this should pull from your IDMS, and if anything needs to change under these different taxable items, this is where you would find that information in this system.
Are you saying everything on this page is taxable in this state?
Correct. Yeah, under this section here, under where it says taxable, all of these items here are going to be taxable. Now, like I kind of mentioned before, if you're titling, for example, into Kentucky, what's going to pull into this section, I believe they only have like 2 or 3 fields, so it's like the trade-in, accessories, and then the shipping charges is everything that's going to show for Kentucky, because that's what's taxable in their state. Um, but for New Jersey, the reason I like to show New Jersey is because they have 12 fields here. So you can see, hey, you're not going to be responsible for finding all 12 different fields. It's going to automatically pull over for you. But if we're going to title into a different state like Kentucky, or I believe Alabama is pretty light as well, only 2 or 3 fields are going to be here under the taxable section for you guys to fill in.
Okay. Kurt, do you have any questions on that with the issues we're having?
I mean, it's going to be hard to be able to kind of pinpoint that as far as who does and doesn't doing it until we actually run the numbers, and then after that it's just going to be us matching it up kind of like we do now. So I really don't have too many questions off of it. So
Can you talk to him about the issue you're having on the Illinois title fee?
so the one system we have right now, originally when we did the title fee, it was showing $165, and then I would say after a month or two of using it, the system we use now, said Illinois had upped it to 195. But like their system now hasn't, I guess, like updated that field in there, to that. So, so a lot of that's just us kind of going off, like for me, knowing that, hey, that one's 195, and then all of our other, states that we sell to, we don't have that issue, with within that system. So,
Okay, so
I
it's
mean,
they're just having an
go
issue
ahead.
with Illinois going in there, and
Yeah.
okay, that's very interesting.
So apparently Illinois' 195 title fee, and all the other states that we have came across have been 165.
Okay,
The
interesting.
165 is the
There's
processing fee. That one's the same regardless. So it's just their title fees what for some reason hasn't updated. So I don't know if that's the same thing with you guys or if you guys are seeing that at all.
So I haven't seen it in our system, and I don't know because they go back in the back end, obviously on the engineering side, and depending on what changes are made to the DMV, and they're consistently updating the system. If they make any changes in there, they're going to go ahead and change it in the system now, and that's the reason why we're able to come in here and guarantee our fees whenever we tell you, hey, this is what needs to be collected from the customer in that state. Is because we go in and constantly update all the information in our system, right? So if we're coming here and putting and telling you, hey, the that transaction fee is going to be 165 for Illinois, and you entered everything incorrectly, but it wasn't. That's why we always go in there and get you guys a check for the difference because we told you it was going to be correct. But that's on the back end of, hey, we know with the engineering team, they get updates on what different states have changed, and they go in there and change all the numbers in the system so that they match real time, obviously, what that state is going to have. Um, it sounds like that's just not an update that they've made in that system, which is pretty interesting. I'm not sure why they haven't been able to update that. It sounds like a pretty easy fix on their end. And for our side of things, I know obviously when we guarantee those fees, it's because we're continually making updates in the system to be able to show that. Does that answer the question? It probably doesn't answer your specific
Yeah.
question, but in a roundabout way, that's kind of how
What
we
about
solve the problem.
what are the fees for VIN checks?
Yeah, for VIN checks in our system, so we only have Invidus in our system. I think this is about $3 whenever you guys are checking with Invidus here.
Okay.
hmm Yeah, great question so far. Anything else you can think of at this point?
I know they're having some we're having some issues as far as what states require VIN checks, what states require emissions. So I guess whenever you get to that in the demo, if you can show us how your system tells us that.
Yeah, fantastic. So obviously, like you said, we'll give you that on the first page, right? Some of the state-specific notices. But actually, when we calculate the fees here and on this fee calculation page, we'll have these state-specific notices at the bottom of this page as well. Like you said, can be hard to keep track of all the state-specific notices. But that's why we go ahead and put it in here for you automatically. That way you don't have to be an expert at all 50 states because that would just be, it's a lot of bandwidth. But once this loads up for us, but I think we went over this information, but any notices that we have in this state, so it doesn't look like New Jersey specifically has a emissions notice for them, but I know when I fill out New York in here, they do have a transfer restriction and an emissions notice. I believe Kentucky was one that had a inspection requirement as well. So anything that's going to be required on here, we'll show you under the state specific notices, and then it'll also be on the forms here as well.
So you don't have to select which forms to potentially print. They're just going to all be under the print registration forms automatically.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. And that you'll be able to print these forms here by clicking obviously this blue button. By selecting this blue button here, this will charge you the remaining $65 for populating the state forms. And then we also provide some additional forms as well that are just going to help you complete the deal in its entirety in a smooth manner. This will be an example, and I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see. This will be an example of a page that we pre-populate for you. It's just our title application checklist. our way of going in there and preventing delays. So these are going to be all the checkboxes that we need to have for this application. Now, everything in red is going to be the common mistakes that the DMV sees people make that ends up having their paperwork kicked back. So for this one, social security number for each applicant must be listed. So a lot of people are just listing one, getting kicked back because they just need that social security number. So we're going to be able to give you a full list of, hey, everything that's needed for that state automatically. And we're going to list all those forms here in a second, but also the way that those need to be filled out. I know New York has a bunch of red tape that they need to bypass or make sure that they get correct, or else they, if anybody's titled in New York recently, it's been a pretty big headache. But we do ask that whenever you submit the paperwork here, that you go ahead and submit the forms that we have for you as well, in terms of the checklist here and any of the summaries that we have in here as well. But these are going to be your state-specific forms. Another form that we populate for you is going to be the payment information form. So who we need to make the payment out to. Obviously, if we're using the private tag agency, it'll be the New Jersey Car Title Services. But if we're using the DMV in our system as well, or instead, it's going to be the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission instead of the DMV that we're titling into. Nothing's worse than obviously getting a check kickback for just making it out to the wrong person. And then depending on whether we're using the DMV or the private tag agency, we'll give you the correct mailing information for all of your paperwork here as well. We can come in here and designate a contact at your dealership for, the situation that the DMV or private tag agency has any questions about the deal. They can contact you directly instead of having just going through the main line. This right here will be a license plate destination form. So we'll select whether you want the plate to go to the owner or to the dealership, select or enter in the specific shipping information that you need, and then have any shipping options that we need to have here as well. Real nice and easy for a lot of our state-specific forms. And it's interesting because when I title into New Jersey, they actually don't have any sections here that are highlighted in yellow. If they do have a section when you print the forms that are highlighted in yellow, that means that a wet signature is required for that specific form. If there are signature pages on here and they are not highlighted in yellow, that means that they will be accepted with a e-signature. But we will be able to give that information there for you. This page here is our NAT deal summary page. So we do ask that you submit this with the paperwork as well. A lot of times, the title clerks or the people at the private tag agencies will take a look at this just in case they missed any numbers on the front end. They can come in here and find it real nice and easy. This is why I recommend that you go ahead and fill everything out on the paperwork because it'll pull over, but that'll all pull over from your IDMS system. This is just going to be another state-specific form here for us to fill out. And as you can see, hey, we're going to have everything over here for you. So this pretty much brings us to the end of our demo. Any questions that you had, anything that stood out to you today?
Ellen or Bree, you guys have anything on the office side?
We were just discussing that.
I don't know where to be. I don't know. It went too fast for me to understand all the forms. But I guess my one question is, so from what I'm understanding, each of the out-of-states, you guys will give us the address to UPS the deals to their specific state.
Yep, correct. Yes. So depending on when you go in there and whether you're using a DMV, whether you select the DMV in the system or whether you select a private tag agency, we will give you the mail instructions here to where that paperwork needs to go. Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And all of these forms, like I mentioned, these are all going to pull up automatically. So we know which forms are in the system, and those are coded to bring up depending on which state you're titling into. So you're not going to have to go in here and add anything. And then, like I mentioned, anything that needs a wet signature will have a yellow box. This isn't my favorite example just because it doesn't have any wet signatures that are needed. But the New Jersey does have a lot of taxable fields, which is why I like to show it. But it'll show you exactly, hey, where you need the wet signature from the customer, or if you can have them electronically sign it if you prefer.
Do you have a
Do you
lot
guys
of
have
situations? Go ahead, Nate, you're fine.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just, for examples, if, we sent something out to the DMV and it was missing something that we overlooked, what have you, what happens? Do the DMV just sends everything back to our dealership for
So
correction? Do we get an email, or can we upload missing documents through
yeah,
emails? How's that work?
that's a good question. So that one, as I've seen it or in my experience, is kind of DMV specific. As I'm sure you guys know, some of them are still lagging behind a little bit, and we'll just kick everything back. But a lot of DMVs are doing things a lot better where they have a line of communication, and that's why we ask you to come in here and submit your contact info as well. Where hey, if it's something that's pretty quick on just one line item, things like that, they can contact you at your specific dealership, and we can have one specific person hard coded in here to default as the contact as well. But that's going to be on a DMV to DMV basis, whether they send that back to you guys or if they're going to be able to kind of reach out to you for a fix on any of the paperwork that you guys have. Way we kind of combat that on the front end is being able to give you the title checklist. I know we try to be as excellent as we can, but mistakes will happen. But this is why we kind of give you this title checklist, make sure everything gets filled out so we can get everything done the first time around, make sure that process is as quick as possible. But
Did your company reach out to customers once they get the BMV, like whoever, if there's missing, or hey, you need to meet your paperwork? We have a lot, a few states where our tiling company now calls the customers and lets them know, hey, you can meet your paperwork. Is that something you guys do as an extra perk or anything like that, or no communication to the customers?
yeah, that's a great question. So currently that's not a service that is under our banner at this point.
Okay.
Is there a?
Do you guys have an online, I guess I'm just so used to what I'm doing now, but so a system where we can upload things directly to you, to the BMV or anything, like for missing stuff? Like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of what I get to do now with our company now.
Sure,
In
no,
regards
that's
to
a
communication back and forth. We have
yeah.
I feel like we have very good communication with Opus, at least on my side.
Sure, yeah, and that's a fantastic question. So we don't have a portal where we're linked into the DMV specifically for you guys to upload any information, unfortunately. But majority of the times that I've seen it, depending on the DMV that you guys are working with, they're pretty open, especially if they're having to be able to contact you on this side of things to be able to either, if it requires a wet signature, things like that, mail it over. If not, we can come in here and just edit the forms and send them the information by email. But we don't have a third-party portal right now where we can upload information to the DMV.
Okay, thank you.
Is
Yeah,
there
great
a
questions.
online training program?
Yes, so we will have a training program for you guys. We on that, I believe that first page that we had, and let me see if I can jump back to it. This first page is going to have a training catalog, so online training for any frequently asked questions that you have. We'll also have a training catalog here on the right-hand side and a help desk number. Oh my gosh. So I don't know if you guys have heard everything with CDK. Obviously, it's been all the rage the last couple of days, but I think they're putting extra securities on every time I log into something. But anything on this system will have any FAQs here, and then a training catalog for any videos that we have that'll cover our system. We also have our help desk number right here with our email support number as well. When we initially get you set up, and obviously, within the process, I'm happy to help with anything that you guys need. Let's say we get this set up for you guys and implemented. The next step would be, hey, we'll set up your account. And we will also have our account manager reach out to you as well. So essentially, we'll be tag teaming on, making sure you guys stay updated, trained, know how to use the system. So we initially, whenever we set you up, we'll send you the information, and then we'll also go and schedule some additional time with you guys just to make sure everybody's trained, everybody's on the same page, and you guys know how to use the system from head to toe. So will be a couple of avenues for us to get you more training and any additional help as well.
Kurt, did you have any final questions?
I don't have any final questions at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're over your half-hour time, so I think that's everything on our end.
Okay.
Alonzo, Robbie, you guys have anything?
You guys made it a little bit too easy on me.
Yeah, I think we're good on our end.
Okay. Any concerns or reservations about the software? Could you see this kind of being implemented for your team?
I thought it had mostly all positives that I saw.
Okay, good. And I'm sure, yeah, you guys would love to. Sure, we're looking at some internal discussions. I guess what needs to happen on our end to help you guys out? Do you have a timeline of when you guys are looking to switch to a new out-of-state titling tool?
We did another demo a couple days ago with a different company, and I think this was kind of the last one we were doing to kind of get together and talk about things and kind of go from there.
Okay, understood. And then, yeah, fantastic. We'll let you guys talk about
I
it.
had one little question.
Sure, go ahead.
I noticed at one point that it looked like the system doesn't do plate transfers, so you can't set it up for plate transfers. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So this system itself does not do plate transfers. I believe that's on the front page whenever we're starting a deal. So this system itself, oh, nice. This system itself does not do plate transfers, but you will need to select whether you are doing a plate transfer or not, because in certain states that will affect the fee calculation on the back end.
Okay, but it's not necessarily going to give us you need to include this form or something like that for that plate transfer.
Yeah, if it does not, it itself does not yet come in here and help you with the process for the plate transfer. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. But yeah, fantastic. I definitely appreciate everybody's time today. Thanks everybody for jumping on, and let me keep you for a little bit. When would be a good day next week for us to kind of follow up about the system and then see what the next steps would be regarding implementation for you guys?
Probably like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Okay. And then afternoon, morning better for you?
Usually anytime after 11 is fine.
Okay. I'll put something on the calendar. I know you're busy, so I put something on the calendar for us. Anything you guys need from me or any questions that you guys have in the meantime, please feel free to reach out either by email or give me a call. I will also, as a next step, go ahead and clip this demo and send it to you guys over email. We also have one that's a little bit faster. I'm sure if you send an hour-long demo to somebody right now at month's end, they'll try to punch you. So there's one that in there that's quite a bit quicker. I'll include pricing, a pricing breakdown for you guys there as well, and then a brief overview of kind of everything that we discussed. So any questions that you have for me, you let me know, and then we will. I'll put something on the calendar for Tuesday for us to follow up.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate the time.
Bye.